Priya gets the notification. Tax refund, $2,800, deposited. She feels that specific rush, the free money feeling, already mentally spending part of it on a trip. Here's what that notification actually means, and it's not what it feels like. Priya didn't win $2,800. She lent it to the government, for free, for up to a year, and just got her own money back with zero interest. Here's the number that should stop you mid-scroll. That $2,800 broken down across 12 months is about $230 a month that Priya's own paycheck was short, the entire year, money she could have had access to the whole time instead of waiting for a refund. This isn't a video telling you refunds are bad or that you're financially unsophisticated for liking one. It's a video about what that number actually represents and the specific 5-minute fix most people have never heard of. Let me show you the real math. My name is Alex, and today on Wealth Adjacent, we're taking apart the refund everyone celebrates and almost nobody actually understands. Quick disclaimer, not financial advice, just how withholding actually works. And genuinely, if you prefer a big refund on purpose, that's a completely legitimate choice, not a mistake. Let's meet Priya. Gets a refund most years, always felt like a nice surprise, never once looked into why the number is what it is, just assumed it was simply how taxes worked. Here's the actual mechanism. Every paycheck, your employer withholds an estimated amount for taxes based on a form you filled out, usually once, years ago, and rarely touched again, often when you first started the job and were focused on everything else about onboarding. If that estimate withholds more than you actually owe, the difference comes back as a refund the following year. If it withholds less, you owe money at tax time instead, which is exactly the outcome most people are subconsciously trying to avoid by letting the estimate run a little high. Here's the part that should make you sit up. A refund isn't a bonus from the government. It's specifically your own money that was already yours, held without interest for months at a time, then returned to you exactly as much as was taken, not a cent more. If a friend borrowed $230 from you every month for a year and handed it all back in one lump sum with zero interest, nobody would call that a gift. It would just be your own money, finally back in your hands, later than it needed to be. Compare that to what happens if that same $230 a month had simply stayed in each paycheck instead. Redirected into a basic savings account earning a modest return, or even just available in checking to avoid a high-interest credit card charge during a tight month. That money would have been doing something the entire year, instead of doing nothing at all while it sat with the IRS. Left alone in a simple interest-earning account for that same 12 months, even a modest return would have added a real, if modest, amount on top of the original $2,800. Money the lump sum refund structurally can never generate, since it was never actually invested or earning anything while it was being held. This shows up because over-withholding feels safer than getting it exactly right. Nobody wants to owe money at tax time, so most people, and most default withholding settings, lean toward taking out slightly more than necessary, treating the refund as an acceptable trade for avoiding a surprise bill later. There's a real psychological asymmetry here too, worth naming directly. Owing money at tax time feels like a punishment, even when the actual dollar amount is identical to a refund in the opposite direction, while getting a refund feels like winning something, even though mathematically the person who broke exactly even, no refund, no bill, actually managed their withholding the most precisely of anyone. So here's the actual check, and it takes about 5 minutes using a free withholding estimator, easily found through a quick search directly on the tax authority's own website. Compare your current withholding to what you actually owed last year. If the gap is small, leave it. That's not really the problem here. If you got a refund in the thousands, that's a specific adjustable number, not a fixed fact about your paycheck that just happens every year the same way. Adjusting your W-4 with your employer takes about 5 minutes and can be redone anytime. It's not a one-time, permanent decision the way most people treat it. Most people fill it out exactly once and never open it again for the rest of their working life at that job. A modest adjustment, not an aggressive one, is usually the right move, since the goal isn't to owe a large amount either, it's to land close to breaking even, which is genuinely the most precise outcome available. It's worth being honest about the other side of this too. For some people, the refund functions as the only reliable forced savings mechanism they actually stick to. The extra amount in each paycheck would simply get spent rather than saved if it arrived monthly instead of annually. If that's genuinely true for your own situation, the cost of over-withholding might be a completely reasonable price to pay for a savings habit that otherwise wouldn't happen at all, and that's a legitimate, self-aware choice, not something this video is trying to talk anyone out of. There's a specific pattern worth naming around tax preparation marketing too, since it quietly reinforces the excitement rather than the actual math. Refund amounts get treated as the headline number in tax software and advertising. Get your maximum refund, phrased as though a bigger number is automatically the better outcome, when a larger refund, structurally, just means a larger amount was withheld unnecessarily throughout the year. The entire framing around tax season is built to celebrate the size of the refund rather than the accuracy of the withholding, which is exactly backwards from what actually serves someone's own financial interest. There's also a specific seasonal spending pattern worth naming, since it shows what the lump sum structure actually does to how the money gets used. A meaningful share of large refunds get spent relatively quickly on a single purchase or trip, treated psychologically as separate from regular income specifically because it arrived as an unusual lump sum, when the exact same total amount, spread across 12 paychecks instead, tends to get absorbed into ordinary spending and saving patterns far less dramatically. The lump sum framing doesn't just delay the money, it actually changes how people treat it once it finally arrives. So here's where we land. This isn't about refunds being wrong. Some people genuinely prefer the forced savings feeling, and that's a real legitimate reason to keep it exactly as is. Priya adjusted her withholding slightly, now sees that $230 in every paycheck instead of waiting a year for it, and redirects part of it straight into savings the same day it arrives, keeping the forced savings habit while finally earning something on the money along the way. The point was never that a refund is a mistake. It's that celebrating it without understanding what it actually costs you, an interest-free year-long loan, means missing the one piece of information that would let you make an actual, informed choice, instead of just accepting whatever your withholding happened to default 2 years ago. Check your actual withholding. Don't just enjoy the refund without understanding what it costs you all year to get it. If this helped, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, did you know your refund was actually your own money the whole time? I'll see you in the next one.